Marginal cost. Marginal cost is the change in total cost resulting from a 1 unit change in the quantity produced. Diminishing marginal product of labor leads to rising marginal cost. The firm's supply curve is directly derived from its marginal cost curve. To plot the total cost curve and the marginal cost of producing pumpkins, the first and last columns of a table with dollars on the y-axis and the number of crates built on the x-axis can be used. Production function. The production function expresses the relationship between input and output. In the short run, this function demonstrates the amount of production for a given input where capital is fixed. The marginal product of labor is the change in output resulting from a 1 unit increase in labor input while capital input remains constant. When an increase in output due to a 1 unit increase in labor decreases with increasing labor input, this is known as diminishing returns to labor. The production function's slope is represented by the marginal product of labor, with diminishing returns to labor indicated by a flatter slope as hours of work increase. Cost depends on production function. The table shows that the firm incurs a fixed cost of $300 per day, representing payments to fixed inputs such as 4 trucks and 2 terminals. The variable costs represent the labor costs incurred by the firm. As the firm is working in the short run, the only way to increase the quantity produced is to increase labor input, increasing labor costs. Cost depends on production function. The figure illustrates on the move's production function in the short run, demonstrating that as the number of work hours increases, the output increases at a decreasing rate after around 50 hours of work. Diminishing marginal product occurs after the third piano is moved. We are using additional labor with a fixed capital input, which results in a diminishing marginal product of labor and an increasing marginal cost of production. Increasing the marginal product of labor decreases marginal cost, while reducing the marginal product of labor results in increasing marginal cost. Cost depends on production function. The average product of labor is the quantity produced divided by the amount of labor input. This differs from the marginal product of labor, which is the change in quantity grown resulting from a change in labor input. The formulas for marginal product of labor and average product of labor are change in quantity to change in labor input and quantity per unit labor respectively, where Q is the quantity of output produced and L is the quantity of labor input used. Average and marginal cost curves. When analyzing the relationship between the quantity of output and cost, it becomes apparent that the average fixed cost curve decreases as the quantity of output increases. The average variable cost curve also reduces until the amount of output reaches 5, after which it increases. Similarly, the average total cost curve decreases until the production quantity reaches 7, then rises again for quantities greater than 8. The marginal cost curve reduces until the quantity of output reaches 3, after which it increases. Average and marginal cost curves. It's worth noting that the vertical distance between the average total cost and the average variable cost decreases as the output increases. This distance is the average fixed cost and can never be negative or zero. Therefore, the average total cost curve will always be higher than the average variable cost curve, and the two curves will not intersect. The marginal cost curve reduces until the quantity of output reaches 3, after which it increases. Average and marginal cost curves. The formula to calculate the total cost is total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus variable cost. The procedure for total cost at a particular quantity is total cost Q equal to total fixed cost Q plus variable cost Q. The average total cost can be calculated by adding the average fixed cost and the average variable cost. It's crucial to remember that the marginal cost curve intersects with the average variable cost at its minimum point, and similarly, it intersects with the average total cost at its minimum point. This observation follows a critical rule. If the marginal cost is less than the average total or variable cost, the average total or variable cost will decrease. The average total or variable cost will increase if the marginal cost exceeds the average total or variable cost. Generic cost curves. When drawing the average total cost, the average variable cost, and the marginal cost together, it is essential to ensure that the marginal cost curve intersects with the average total cost curve and the average variable cost curve at their minimum points. The vertical distance between the average variable cost and the total cost should also decrease as production increases. Additionally, a slight dip should be put on the left-hand side of the marginal cost curve to allow for the possibility of reducing marginal cost at deficient production levels.